Wasn't playing football and they wasn't playing hockey or soccer for Diddy to come on stage, pat him on his ass, and then make the statement to people in the world that can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z. Now, I don't know what kind of statement, and I can't say, I wish I could say half a homo, but I know I can't say it, but I don't know what kind of half a homo that is. And you trying to say that you're not close to somebody. You coming on stage, patting them on their ass, and then you making a broad statement to the public, can't nobody call me Sean but Sean Carter. And I heard Jay-Z said the same thing about them. But they were so close that they had matching white girls together.
Let me kick this off a little differently because this part had me doing a double take. The moment I wrapped up 50 Cent's Diddy documentary on Netflix, something felt off immediately. One major name was straight up missing, and it wasn't subtle at all. Jay-Z wasn't there, not in clips, not in photos, not even a quick mention. That wasn't an accident, and it definitely wasn't random. Here's where it gets wild. There was supposed to be a whole section in episode 4 that focused on Jay-Z, allegedly called the Jay-Z tapes. And from what's been floating around, 50 Cent pushed hard to keep it in. We're talking serious back and forth with Netflix, real tension behind the scenes. But at the very last moment, that entire segment vanished like it never existed. Now I know what some of you are thinking already. How does some YouTuber know what Netflix cut? Fair question. But here's the thing. I didn't pull this out of thin air. I've been tracking blind items and behind-the-scenes chatter about this documentary for months. I even talked before about 50 Cent clashing with the producers because he wanted heavy control over the final edit. People laughed it off at the time. Then Gene Deal stepped up in recent interviews and confirmed that exact tension was real. That changed everything. And it doesn't stop there. Just days ago, 50 himself posted on Instagram with a caption that said, "Yes, I have the footage, LOL. Go look it up." When 50 drops a line like that with a laughing emoji, he's not joking around. That's him saying, "Yeah, this stuff exists and I've got it." Netflix just decided you weren't supposed to see it. And before we even touch what got cut, let this sink in. Almost everyone else caught heat in that documentary. J-Lo showed up. Biggie's story came up. Cassie was front and center. But Jay-Z? Completely absent. Not even a single image. That silence is loud. Let's call this what it really looks like. This wasn't random, and it definitely wasn't a mistake. When someone with serious power walks away untouched while everyone around them gets dragged into the spotlight, that's not luck, that's damage control. And yeah, when that happens, it forces one big question. What are they protecting, and why? Before we get into what was removed, there's something you need to understand first. I'm not here to deep dive their entire history or ramble off topic. I'm sticking to exactly what you came for. Jay-Z and Diddy weren't just industry buddies bumping into each other at events. They were tight, like real close. And this wasn't just about music collabs or business deals. This is where Gene Deal steps in. Diddy's former bodyguard has been talking heavy lately, and he straight up shut down Jay-Z's lawyer's claims.
How does Jay-Z sit down with Gayle King and she not ask him one question about the intersection between him and Aliyah and Robert Kelly? This is insane that people keep refusing to see what's right there.
When Diddy started facing serious legal trouble, Jay-Z's team rushed out saying they were barely even friends. Gene said, nah, that's not how it really went down. And Gene didn't tiptoe around it either. He broke it down publicly, and you can find this clip yourself. He said these two weren't hanging out playing sports or doing casual stuff. So why did Diddy hop on stage in Atlanta, pat Jay-Z on his backside, and then tell the world, can't nobody call me Sean but Jay-Z?
Here we go. Here's a fun little fact. I actually have verifiable knowledge of all 15 of Mr. Carter's illegitimate children that he hides from the world.
That's not normal industry talk. That's a very specific kind of closeness. And Jay-Z echoed it right back, according to Gene. Gene even added that they joked about having matching white girls together, saying things like, yo, how's your skinny white girl doing? That's not casual conversation. That's insider talk. That's the kind of bond where people know way too much about each other. And that explains why Jay-Z is staying far away from the noise right now. And this is where things really start heating up. Remember when Jaguar Wright went on Piers Morgan's show and started naming names, especially Jay-Z and Diddy? That segment vanished so fast it made people question reality. One minute it was everywhere, the next minute, gone. Clips wiped, links broken, conversations erased like they never happened. That kind of cleanup doesn't happen unless someone high up makes a call. And when discussions disappear from major platforms that quickly, you already know something serious is being protected.
We finally gonna have a real conversation about whether or not Rihanna was trafficked to Def Jam.
She was an innocent baby when she came over here. And look
She was
at her now.
14 going on 15 years old, flown over without parental supervision in a private plane by a man who was supposed to be a producer who auditioned her at 3 a.m. in the fucking morning in a hotel room, auditioning at 3 a.m. in the morning, a 14-year-old girl.
With no parental consent.
Nobody. She was flown. She was flown to another country. She was taken to Def Jam headquarters. She was left in a conference room alone with Sean Carter for nearly 6 hours alone with no parental supervision.
Here's what went down. Jaguar Wright was explaining why people in the industry stay quiet. She talked about fear, pressure, and what happens when you speak too freely. Then she started naming names. And right after that, the entire segment was pulled offline. No explanation, no apology, just silence. Power like that doesn't move for nothing. And that leads straight into what 50 Cent allegedly wanted to include in episode 4. According to multiple insiders, the first major reveal focused on rumors surrounding Jay-Z's private life. And to be clear, these were claims and industry allegations, not confirmed facts. But they were explosive enough to scare people. Jaguar claimed she had long-standing knowledge about multiple hidden family situations tied to Jay-Z. She said these were matters handled quietly through legal agreements and strict privacy contracts. Again, these are accusations she made publicly, not court-proven facts. Still, the sheer scale of what she described shocked people. One clip that went viral before disappearing had Jaguar saying, "I have verifiable knowledge of multiple children connected to Mr. Carter that the public doesn't know about." She stressed this was about secrecy, money, and silence, not anything involving harm to minors. That part matters, and it gets twisted online. According to sources, 50 wanted to bring forward paperwork, settlement records, and legal filings to show how these situations were allegedly handled behind closed doors. But Netflix reportedly shut it down immediately. Too risky, too many lawyers, too much pressure from powerful teams. Think about that for a second. When a platform that big backs away, it's not about curiosity, it's about protection. And that's exactly why viewers never got the chance to hear it directly. And it doesn't stop there. The next Section 50 wanted to include reportedly involved claims about exploitation within the industry. Not criminal accusations, but patterns of control, pressure, and manipulation. He allegedly had multiple sources ready to speak on camera. But that entire thread was cut before it ever aired. That silence says more than words ever could. And once again, all of it got cut. Every last second. Episode 4 was supposed to go there, but Netflix pulled the plug completely. What you're about to hear is what insiders say was originally planned before the edits came down hard. One of the most controversial claims centered around Rihanna and her early rise in the industry. Not rumors pulled from nowhere, but a timeline that even Rihanna herself has spoken about in interviews. The issue isn't talent. It's how fast everything happened and how young she was at the time. Rihanna was living in Barbados when she was just 16 years old. She met a producer named Evan Rogers who told her he believed in her talent and wanted to help her career grow. Shortly after that, she was flown to the United States. No long build-up, no gradual transition, just straight onto a private plane. She's talked openly about being young, far from home, and suddenly surrounded by strangers. She arrived in New York and later met with Jay-Z, who was leading Def Jam at the time.
After I found out what actually happened to Aliyah, there was no way I could stay.
Oh my God.
And then I started doing my research and I started talking to other victims. I should have never signed that non-disclosure agreement, but I did. I took the blood oath, and so did my first husband.
Whoa.
And I left.
That's why it ain't never been right since, because you
Exactly.
left it. You don't leave
Exactly.
anything like that.
I did. And he was paid to be my husband so no one would know who I was really involved with.
According to accounts, this meeting didn't happen in a typical office setting or during business hours, which raised eyebrows years later. Jaguar Wright has publicly alleged that financial arrangements were made behind the scenes involving Rihanna's family. These are allegations, not court rulings, and that distinction matters. Still, the claims alone were explosive enough to make executives nervous. There were also questions raised about how fast everything moved paperwork-wise. Jaguar suggested that travel and documentation were handled quietly due to industry influence. Again, these are claims she made publicly, not proven facts, but they add to why this section was considered legally risky. What is confirmed is Rihanna's own words about how overwhelming that transition was. In an older interview, she described moving away from her mother, her friends, and everything familiar. She said the hardest part wasn't fame, it was being alone in a massive city with people she barely knew. She explained that after growing up surrounded by family for 17 years, suddenly being placed into a high-pressure environment was emotionally difficult. That feeling of isolation is something she has repeated more than once over the years. That context matters, and it's exactly why this segment reportedly never made it past Netflix's legal team. Too sensitive, too complicated, and too much liability surrounding someone who was still a teenager at the time. And that's why viewers never got to see this part at all. Did you catch that line she said about strangers? That part hits different when you really think about it.
Last question. I asked you to do this earlier, but I just want you to do it even more, go detail. What do you predict will happen next in the future? You know, it's like you see it before it happens.
Kathy White's true killer is going to be unveiled, and it's not a man. And that woman died screaming.
Anything else?
Yeah, show him the tape, Diddy. You got it.
Oh, man,
That might buy you a little time. You should probably stop looking for plastic surgeons.
man.
Looking for a new life, new face. We're gonna hang you high. Jay-Z too, Beyonce too, and we're gonna round up all the See, I love a good gay man. I just can't stand him. And that's what it is.
Would that be...
You wanna know what's gonna happen next?
Yeah.
I'm about to up a mirror.
She openly admitted she moved to a massive city and ended up surrounded by people she barely knew. And that raises a serious question. Who exactly were those people? And why wasn't there stronger protection around someone that young at such a vulnerable moment? Now here's another piece that makes people scratch their heads. Right before Jay-Z officially signed Rihanna, he was heavily involved in developing another young artist, Tierra Marie. She was also signed to Def Jam, brought in by L.A. Reid, and she was getting serious attention. Then Rihanna enters the picture. Almost overnight, Tierra Mari's momentum slowed, and soon after, she was released from the label. Meanwhile, Rihanna's career skyrocketed at record speed. That sharp contrast has fueled years of speculation and uncomfortable conversations. Adding to that, Tierra Mari has been publicly linked by media speculation to legal matters involving alleged misconduct from her teenage years. These are allegations discussed in court filings, not proven conclusions. But when people line up the timing, the ages, and the power dynamics, it makes the situation feel unsettling. You start to see why people talk about patterns. Young female artists, powerful executives, and careers that seem to depend on staying quiet. That doesn't automatically mean wrongdoing, but it absolutely raises eyebrows. And here's another long-standing mystery fans still talk about. Rihanna and Beyonce have never released a collaboration. Same label circle, same era, both global superstars. No song, no joint performances, barely any shared public moments. That silence has always felt intentional. Some rumors try to connect dots that can't be proven, So it's important to be careful here. Still, fans notice these gaps and they ask questions. Rihanna's 2016 album Anti added even more fuel to that conversation. The cover art shows a young child figure with a crown covering her eyes. Many fans interpret that imagery as symbolism, innocence, blindness, and loss of control. Jaguar Wright has publicly called it a symbolic cry for help, suggesting it represented opposition to past experiences. Whether that interpretation is intentional or not, Rihanna has never fully explained it. And that silence keeps the theories alive. According to insiders, 50 Cent wanted to explore all of this in episode 4. He reportedly had timelines, former label employees, and documentation ready, but Netflix labeled it too controversial and too legally risky. And that's where the segment stopped cold. The next section was supposed to pivot to another major industry story involving Aliyah, but that part never made it on screen either, despite multiple people allegedly prepared to speak on camera. This is the part people whisper about but rarely say out loud. There were even reports that an attempt at a marriage happened, and the only reason it came to light was because Aliyah's parents stepped in and shut it down immediately. That alone tells you how serious the situation was at the time. What almost nobody talks about is this. The music industry knew what was going on back then. It wasn't a secret behind closed doors. People were aware of R. Kelly's behavior, and many executives and artists kept their distance because of it. That reputation followed him everywhere. Dame Dash, who was Jay-Z's business partner at the time, has publicly said he wanted nothing to do with R. Kelly. That says a lot. Most folks in the industry avoided him completely, but Jay-Z didn't. Instead of backing away, he worked closely with R. Kelly. Not just a feature, not a single track, entire collaborative albums. That decision raised eyebrows then, and it still does now, especially considering what people already knew at the time. And here's where things start getting even more uncomfortable. Multiple insiders have claimed that Jay-Z showed interest in Aliyah while she was still connected to R. Kelly. There's no confirmed proof, and that's likely why Netflix wouldn't touch this part. But timelines matter, and people notice gaps. Dame Dash later began dating Aliyah when she turned 21. So naturally, people ask questions. Where was Jay-Z during those earlier years when Aliyah was still a teenager? And why was he so comfortable staying in the same circles as R. Kelly when others stayed away? Then comes Jaguar Wright again, because she's been making waves for years. She has claimed she was forced to sign extreme confidentiality agreements to stay quiet about what she witnessed in the industry. She even alleged that her personal life was manipulated for image purposes, including claims involving financial arrangements tied to powerful figures. Jaguar has also said that once she learned what truly happened behind the scenes involving Aliyah's situation, she couldn't stay silent anymore. She hasn't laid out every detail, but she's made it clear that what she discovered changed everything for her. Now, to be clear, Aliyah's passing in 2001 was officially ruled an accident, and that remains the documented conclusion. Still, over the years, theories and speculation have followed because of how abruptly her life and career were interrupted. What is widely agreed on is this. Toward the end of her life, Aliyah was actively trying to distance herself from certain industry figures and environments. That part isn't rumor. It's been echoed by people close to her. And that context is exactly why this entire section was reportedly deemed too sensitive to air. She was growing up, finding her own voice, making her own choices, and no longer playing along. And then, suddenly, she was gone from the picture. 50 Cent reportedly wanted episode 4 to explore connections, not accusations. He wasn't trying to claim anyone caused harm. There's no proof of that. The goal was to show patterns. How young female artists were controlled, pressured, and silenced, and what happened when they tried to step away. But once again, Netflix shut it down. Too many legal risks. Too many powerful figures who could push back hard. So the entire segment got cut, wiped clean, like it never existed. And here's the part that should really make you uncomfortable. There are certain people in the entertainment world who can sit on major TV shows, face top journalists, and still never get asked real questions. And when someone does ask those questions, the footage somehow vanishes. That's exactly what happened when Jaguar Wright appeared on Piers Morgan's show. She started naming powerful figures like Jay-Z, Diddy, and Beyonce. She spoke about industry exploitation, control, and people who allegedly vanished from public view. The interview aired, clips spread everywhere. Then suddenly, those specific segments disappeared from official platforms. No explanation. That's real influence. The ability to erase conversations from the public record. Now let's talk about Kathy White. If you've never heard that name, that's not by accident. Jay-Z has allegedly worked hard to keep her name buried in search results. According to long-standing rumors, Kathy White was romantically connected to Jay-Z and was allegedly expecting a child. In 2011, she suddenly passed away, with reports citing a medical event. Officially, that's where the story ends. But here's why people question it. When something is labeled as a sudden natural medical issue, there's little room for follow-up years later, no trail, no answers. It becomes a closed chapter instantly. Jaguar Wright has made explosive claims involving Kathy White, suggesting there's more behind the scenes than the public was ever told. These are her allegations, not court-established facts. But once again, they were loud enough to make platforms nervous. Now think about this angle. If Diddy truly has footage or information connected to people close to Jay-Z, that creates leverage. That means ties can't be cut cleanly, even when things get messy publicly. And Kathy White isn't the only name people bring up. Over the years, fans and insiders have pointed out a list of individuals connected to Jay-Z and Beyonce who either disappeared from the spotlight or saw their careers abruptly stall. That doesn't automatically mean wrongdoing. But when patterns repeat, people start asking questions. And those are exactly the questions viewers were never allowed to hear in episode 4. Remember Kimberly Thompson? She was once Beyonce's drummer, and her story shook a lot of people. She actually went to court and filed for a restraining order, claiming Beyonce was targeting her with extreme spiritual practices. She said she felt disoriented, manipulated, and mentally affected while working in that circle. Now look, you might hear that and instantly think it sounds far-fetched, and that reaction is normal. But here's what is factual. Kimberly Thompson is not some random internet voice. She trained at Berklee College of Music, had a real professional background, and was personally selected by Terry Lyne Carrington to be part of Beyonce's all-female band. That's serious credibility. After filing that restraining order, her career stalled completely. No gigs, no industry support, nothing. People say she was quietly pushed out. That's the kind of influence this inner circle is rumored to have. Speak up and your opportunities vanish. And here's the uncomfortable part. Sometimes the people everyone labels as crazy are the ones saying the quiet part out loud. Take Orlando Brown. He's been mocked non-stop. People say he's unstable, chasing attention, or exaggerating. But when he talks about what he claims to have seen in the entertainment world, maybe it deserves a second listen. Orlando went viral describing what he said were wild party setups connected to Diddy. He talked about a massive bed in a backyard setting, late-night gatherings, and a culture that blurred every line. He even mentioned names people believe were coded references to major figures like Rihanna and Jay-Z. And all of this was supposed to be broken down in episode 4. 50 Cent allegedly wanted to expose how Jay-Z and Diddy weren't just business partners, but deeply connected behind the scenes. Same circles, same parties, same power structure. But Netflix shut it down completely. The lawsuits alone would have been overwhelming. Gene Deal explained it best in a recent interview. He said many industry figures have kept their actions quiet for years. But now, platforms like YouTube make it harder to silence people. And he was clear about one thing. These aren't street figures with loyalty codes. These are entertainers protecting images. And here's where things really hit home. When you challenge Jay-Z, your career doesn't just slow down, it stops. Remember when Killer Mike won multiple Grammys in one night? That should have been pure celebration. Instead, his moment was overshadowed by an immediate incident with security that escalated publicly. Industry whispers claimed a powerful call was made to embarrass him at the worst possible time. Why? Because Killer Mike had been outspoken. And people say that crossing Jay-Z comes with consequences. So ask yourself this: why would Netflix remove an entire segment that 50 Cent fought to include? Why erase episode 4's most explosive section? The answer many insiders point to is power. Jay-Z isn't just an artist. He's a billionaire businessman with connections across entertainment, media, and politics. When executives realized what the Jay-Z tapes could unleash, they chose safety over truth. Netflix decided a partial story was better than legal chaos. And everyone knows exactly who that decision protects. Now it's on you. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Netflix was pressured to cut episode 4? Do you believe these are real patterns or just rumors fueled by grudges? Let's talk about it. Like the video, subscribe to ScarFame, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and I'll catch you in the next one.